Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today for Motion Composites Motion Minute. Motion Minute is an informal educational opportunity where we explore product offerings and clinical applications for a more informed consumer. So today's topic, one-on-one with one-arm drive. See, if you guys are new to GoToWebinar, this is our platform that we use. You'll notice a control panel on the right side of your desktop. There you'll find a questions and chat box that you can use to ask clinical questions. And my colleagues in the background, Ali Spite and Christy Hamster, will be answering those questions as we go. You'll also notice a handouts drop down where you will find a PDF of this PowerPoint presentation and also some supporting documents like an installation guide and a Helios C2 brochure and order form, so you can practice finding this information. If you're new to this, don't worry, your microphone will be muted and your webcam will remain off. So if you have any questions, utilize that text box and we'll be happy to either answer to the side or interrupt to answer publicly. Okay. So if you're new to Motion Composites, we are an innovative company out of Canada, started by David and Eric when they were in college. This was an engineering project just looking at what's something in the world that could be better. You know, looking at the cycling industry, automotive, aeronautics, everything is constantly pushing the limits for the newest, greatest thing. But unfortunately, wheelchairs kind of ended up in the Stone Age, even though mechanically they're so similar to bicycles. So they took the challenge head on and they created Motion Composites. And their mission remains to lead the evolution of mobility for better living. So located in Saint Roch, Quebec, they launched in 2008 after a successful university project, and they introduced the first folding carbon chair to the market. By 2016, they launched the Carbon Apex, a rigid, fully adjustable frame. Now we're proud to say that we distribute in 30 different countries worldwide, and some of you may be represented on this call today. We welcome you. And we're also proud to say that we've received several industry accolades along the way, even outside of our industry. Canadian Seating and Mobility Conference have given us several innovative awards throughout the years, as well as the Red Dot Design Award, which has awarded things to Bose and Porsche and other industries that are constantly pushing the limits. So we're very proud of what we represent in the industry and what we bring to the table to our consumers. What we hope to achieve today, we're going to look at clinical significance of one-arm drive, some terminology to help you discuss the product, and a slight introduction to installation with further information available upon request, and order forms, competitors, and review. So looking at one-arm drive, I don't know if you guys would recognize this picture here on the right side, but this is actually from the original patent for one-arm drive in 1945 from Everest and Jennings. Believe it or not, this technology has been around for a while because the need has been around. But as you know, there has been much lacking in what the product offers. So we're happy to say that we've taken the challenge and we've created something really great to introduce to you today. Throughout the years, the goal remains to provide manual propulsion to end users with significant functional limitation in one upper extremity. So how does it work? Well, if you have a client who's unable to use one arm, they can now operate both wheels from one side of the chair. So those double handrooms will allow the user to turn and propel forward and backwards. Using the inside rim, the rim closest to the wheel, that's actually the original rim for the wheel. That's what they normally interact with. So inside rim operates the same side wheel. The outside rim on your double rim setup will actually drive the opposite side wheel. So when you're training, just remember, opposite rim drives opposite wheel. When propelling forward, your client must squeeze both hand rims together and propel forward. To reverse, same thing, squeeze both push rims and propel backwards. So I'm sure you're already thinking about some benefits as well as limitations to this setup. So introducing our one-arm drive, just to give you a little peek. So there you see when he uses that inside black push rim, he's driving that same side wheel. And when he operates that silver push rim on the outside, it acts the same as if he used his right hand on that right wheel, okay? You'll also notice there's no push rim on that secondary wheel. That's actually optional. I'll show you on the order form where you can omit it, and we'll talk a little more about the benefits and limitations of omitting your push rim. Okay, so who is it for? We got an idea of the technology and how it works. Well, if you have a client with limited upper extremity function, but they have the ability to maintain independent mobility, one-arm drive on a manual wheelchair could be right for them. This could be someone with hemiparesis, hemiplegia, that's weakness or paralysis on one side of their body. CVA or stroke, that often presents as hemiplegia. Upper extremity amputation, or even an upper extremity deformity that prevents the client from functionally interacting with the wheel. Any wheelchair user with a shoulder injury, even rotator cuff. Some clients are not candidates for surgery, or they need something in the meantime or during their rehab post-op. Carpal tunnel injury, anything with that upper body chain, that upper extremity chain, any injury, disruption, abnormality, not only does it limit them functionally, but it can create safety issues when they go to transfer or weight shift. So sometimes just providing activity modification, reducing the stress on that body part by not pumping their wheels for 3,000 propulsions throughout the day, now they're able to maintain what they do have to use for those transfers and weight shifts, and then just operate with their unaffected arm for propulsion throughout the day. So whether it's completely avoiding use of one upper extremity or activity modification, temporary or permanent change in function, one-arm drive can be a really great cost-effective solution that doesn't completely change their lives in a negative way. Cerebral palsy that can also present with disuse of one side, and any weight-bearing precautions that the client may have on one side of the body. At the end of the day, any patient who lacks ability to propel and steer with both arms should be considered for this type of technology. So how do we optimize that benefit? Well, with anything we do, we want to preserve independence. We want to allow users to navigate their world with minimal changes to equipment or level of assistance. There are many ways to check the box for a client to get them from point A to point B, but it's important to think about what changes you are implementing and how they're going to affect the client throughout the rest of their day, their other tasks, and how it's going to fit into their life. I can put a client on a huge all-terrain power chair, and sure, they can go from point A to point B, but how are they going to get that chair home? How are they going to get that chair in and around their home? Will they even be able to attend medical appointments with that chair? So it's important to think about if your client's already using a manual wheelchair, transporting it in a regular vehicle, a small sedan, by being able to meet their need for one-arm drive while not disrupting those factors and requiring now a power, wheelchair accessible van or a vehicle that can maintain a lift on the back, just minimizing those overall changes will result in greater quality of life and just greater access to the community for the client. Do the most good with the least amount of harm and frustration. So looking at power wheelchair versus manual wheelchair for the client who cannot use one arm to propel, you want to think about deconditioning. Our clients, they really, over time, they become stronger in their postural muscles, their shoulder muscles, even functionally what they're able to do, reaching around their backrest, and even just their field of vision. That all changes once you move into a power chair with a large captain seat. They get more comfortable, they relax, and they start to muscle atrophy and decondition over time. So whether it's temporary or permanent change, you want to make sure that you keep them as active in that manual chair as possible. Even cardiovascular function, everything that they've worked so hard for, you don't want to lose during this time. Home accessibility, like we mentioned, being able to not just enter your home, but navigate, getting into the bedroom, in the bathroom, the kitchen, whatever their needs are, you want to make sure that you're not completely disrupting their accessibility. By only adding an inch, if that, to the width of their chair, they can operate their same manual wheelchair with the one-arm drive. Consider those transportation requirements. So they use public transportation, a small vehicle, maybe random friends and caregivers actually help them throughout the day, making sure that you're not giving them a chair that will interfere with that. And temporary versus permanent need. This is also very important. Some clients may use one-arm drive from here on out. Some, maybe the nature of their condition will actually mean some days they need it more than others. So, or maybe they just need it while rehabbing after surgery. Think about that as well when selecting your device. And because if you use a one-arm drive, such as ours, you can actually leave the device on the chair and have it set up in a way where they have the option to use it or not. And we'll explore that. So who is the least successful with one-arm drive? Well, think about your clients with cognitive deficits. As we discussed, outside rim drives opposite wheel. There is a bit of coordination that must occur, and you want to make sure that your client doesn't just show you briefly in the clinic, but that they can show you repeatedly, successfully in different environments, making sure they won't get confused and go off a curb, making sure they understand how to not only operate and turn the device, but also how to engage and disengage the device safely. We'll show you here in a few slides. There's actually a removable axle that connects the two wheel hubs so that that outside rim controls the opposite wheel. If they're not able to secure that axle whenever they transfer out of the car, that can create a safety issue because the bar can come out. So just like a quick release wheel, you're going to want to make sure that when you install that wheel that it is engaged. The same thing goes for the universal driving system underneath the chair. A client with weak grip, they must have sufficient grip strength to squeeze both push rims. Otherwise, you'll find them turning left, turning right when all they want to do is move forward. Bariatric clients, unfortunately, our one-arm drive is not available on our heavy-duty chair. So you may need to consider standard using our heavy-duty chair and incorporating foot propulsion or just trying some other solutions for that client. Also, another big thing about any device you give a client, the client success does not stop at the equipment. It includes patient education. So Christy, tell us a little bit about your experience with one-arm drive when you were starting out.
Hi, everyone. I'm Christy. Sorry. I just wanted to share a quick little story. So when I was a physical therapy student, it was my final rotation. I did it in inpatient rehab. So back in the day, this was actually about 20 years ago. I was treating a gentleman. He had right hemiparesis and aphasia. So we, after I got past all of that, freaking out about treating a client with aphasia, we did everything. So back in those days, they would do a home visit overnight before they would discharge them home. I don't think a lot of rehab facilities are able to do that any longer, but we did all of the functional training on Friday for the end of the day. We went through with his wife, all of the transfers, everything was set up for the home visit. So I go home, I'm feeling great. Monday morning, we get back, and this gentleman's wife said, "Hey, Christy, everything went well, except that we didn't know how to fold the one-arm drive wheelchair." So we had done everything except show them how to actually take apart the equipment. So thankfully, they had a vehicle that could accommodate an unfolded manual wheelchair, and all was well. But again, just like Olivia said, we have to make sure that we're educating even on the most amazing equipment. So there's just a cute little anecdote story about how I screwed up as a student, but that's okay because we learn and then we move on.
Thank you, Christy. So yes, patient education, also very important. Thank you. So terminology, how will you discuss the parts of the one-arm drive and how will you communicate it to the client during training? Well, your leading wheel and secondary wheel. The leading wheel is the wheel that the client uses to initiate propulsion. So that's the side with the double hand rims. The secondary wheel is the wheel that just follows. The client does not interact with this wheel, and the hand rim is optional. So I mentioned that earlier. If you have a client that is concerned about overall chair width, you do have the option of omitting that secondary hand rim. Or perhaps you don't want the client to be motivated to use that side. Also, you can omit it. And I'll show you on the order form where that is. However, there is a bit of a drawback if you can avoid it. If you have a client that is hard on their equipment, maybe during transport, removing that hand rim, it can affect the overall integrity of the wheel. It's just going to be more robust when you have that hand rim on it. So if it's not an issue, I would keep it on. And when you do keep it on, it does give them the ability to, if they are rehabbing, as they're able, start intermittently using both sides for bilateral propulsion. Unilateral driving system. So this is the name of that axle that sits underneath the chair. Steve is going to show us. And just showing you how the configuration of the device is. Excellent. So that just locks in and twists. So that's what the client will need to be able to have the function to do and the cognition to do. This is what installs underneath the chair. It's what you remove to allow for folding. So having something like that in education as well is necessary. So just a little sneak peek of the parts necessary to install the one-arm drive. We do have extensive content on that. If you'd like, at the end we can review. But the main thing here is you have different types of mounting plates. So if you're ordering this one-arm drive on chair for a new chair order, you don't have to worry about this. If you're filling out a C2 order form, then we know that's the one that you want the one-arm drive for. But if you are ordering it for an existing Motion Composites chair, you do want to take care to know what model it's for. So here we would use this mounting plate for the Helio A7 and Helio C2, whereas we would use this mounting plate for the Move in Canada or the Helio A6. So that's really all you need to know. This would be your extra hand rim, this is your hand rim link plate, and we'll show you where that sits as well. So just to kind of give you an idea of what that installation would look like, sorry, my laser pointer is interfering. One moment. No. Okay, secondary wheel. So you can see there, our friend Steve is sitting in this red Helio. That actually shows what the naked secondary wheel would look like with the hand rim omitted. Here on this other side, we have the leading wheel install, and there you can see the installation of that cross and that hand rim creates this double hand rim on the uninvolved side. And below, I have demonstrated what the universal driving system looks like beneath the chair. Even though you do see holes on this prototype, these are not adjustable. So when you order it, it will be cut to size. And this will show you how to engage and disengage.
Is the same side as here?
So you'll want to light up that shape. And it should just click in on both sides. And you notice as soon as he clicked it in there, that that extra hand rim started to rotate. And to detach it, the same thing. So he just pulls and twists and it comes out. So if your user is sitting at the side of the car and they have the chair there, they can install it, make sure it's secure, turn the chair, transfer in, or a caregiver can assist. So that is the unilateral driving system. So an interesting thing about it is that it will actually make your wheels fixed. We're so used to having quick release wheels, but unfortunately, due to the nature of the one-arm drive device, and this is across the market, the wheels will no longer be quick release after installation. So if you have a user that will be considering this, do make sure they do have a way to transport their their wheelchair without removing those rear wheels. When you remove that unilateral driving system, you just pull up on your seat sling and the chair will fold. Your wheels will stay on. Overall weight, a lot of people ask, how much weight is it going to add to my chair? Well, when you're propelling, all of the equipment is on, so it actually adds approximately 4 pounds. So whether you have the 12-inch chair at 3.88 pounds or a 20-inch wide chair at 4.07, it all comes out to about the same. So when you're looking at the Motion Composites order form, you will find the one-arm drive on any of our folders: Helio, C2, A6, A7, Veloce, and the Move. Here I showed you a little excerpt where we have the rear wheel section, one-arm drive. This only comes in 24-inch, but we do provide it on our Newton 1 rear wheel. The Newton line of parts and accessories is just high performance, high quality products, and it's a division of Motion Composites. So if you're familiar with some of our carbon fiber side guards and foot plates, that all comes from Newton. So we created the Newton 1 wheel and the Newton gravity wheel, inspired by Spinergy and the great products they provide. We just try to provide it at a lower price. So it's really great that we're able to include the Newton 1 on our one-arm drive. You do have aluminum plastic coated hand rims. And like I said, you have this option here to omit that secondary side hand rim. Now, if you omit it, you have a net 0-inch change in your overall width of the chair. If you keep it, it only adds about 1 inch. Of course, that is dependent on your hand rim setting, if it's narrow or not. But it's very minor, especially since the chair is only going to go up to about 20 inches wide. It shouldn't be too much of a limiting factor to keep it on. In Canada or the US, it will cost $13.95. And this will replace the previously offered on-form Sunrise one-arm drive. So what does our competition offer? So if you've ordered from us in the past, then you are familiar with the Sunrise one-arm drive, as that's what we had. This one is available on the Quickie Q2 and QXI. On the Q2, they only offer a 6-spoke mag, but on the QXI, they have the spoke wheel pictured here. Key mobility, they only offer it on the X-Core mag. So, you know, if you're in a facility that just requires a mag wheel, then we understand. But most users, they're going to opt in for a spoke wheel. There are some limitations with using a mag wheel. So, but they will offer that at X-Core 20, 22, 24 on their folders and their rigids. Well, the Motion Composites one-arm drive, what we love about our product and why we felt it was worth the challenge, it's actually lighter than the device previously offered on form, and it's more of a direct drive effect. So when you have more increased stability in the hardware and the push rims and everything's more secure and high quality products, you'll find a more immediate response when movement is initiated. No more of that lagging feel that we've all come to expect and accept from one-arm drive wheelchairs. This will provide efficient propulsion and responsive turning. And I feel that it really fits the product line and the product theme of Motion Composites. You know, we don't just settle, we really push the limits and provide the best for our clients. This is available on all of our folders, as we said, on the 24-inch Newton 1 wheel. So, the benefits of the Motion Composites one-arm drive just don't stop at the accessory alone. The great thing about the Motion Composites experience is just phenomenal engineering and materials. With our carbon fiber line, we provide high strength to weight ratio. That's the really great benefit of using carbon fiber. Not only is it lighter than the rest, but it's stronger. Because carbon fiber is not a metal, we boast temperature and moisture resistant materials. So no matter where your client lives, their chair can withstand the elements. And really fantastic feature of using a non-metal vibration damping. That's something that's really hard to imitate with mechanics. It just has to come from the material itself. With carbon fiber not being metal, not being able to vibrate, it almost turns the volume down on all that vibration. If you're wondering by what we mean by vibration, think about all the times you've pushed the grocery cart across a rattling parking lot, and you've just endured the vibrating, shaking, wobbling shopping cart until you reached your vehicle. Think about the times you've gone rollerblading, skateboarding. You feel everything, but you kind of just brush it off because it's only 2 minutes or 30 minutes of your day. But for our clients in wheelchairs, that is all day, every day. Imagine if your shoes vibrated every time you walked somewhere. Over time, vibration is actually found to be traumatic to the body. In a study looking at work comp or work injuries among truck drivers, long distance truck drivers, they're actually finding that the top reported injury is not car accidents and rollovers and fiery crashes. It's from vibration. They're considered overuse injuries. Their bodies are enduring vibration for long periods of time, day in and day out. That's no different than our end users. So when we think about what type of chair we want to pick, if you're able to go with a carbon fiber chair, you're creating a safer, more efficient environment for that client. So that means your client isn't, sitting in a chair that's vibrating all day, their body then absorbing those vibrations, not only increasing fatigue, but think about if they have, metal rods in their back, any type of stabilization in their spine, that is now vibrating. Energy just gets transferred to somewhere else. And a lot of times our clients are subjected to that. So that's what we really love about carbon fiber. It's not just a trendy term or the latest and greatest thing on the market. I know you hear something new every time you go to a trade show, but carbon fiber is really great because it's just not a metal. Another great thing about our motion composites experience that our clients benefit from, it's expertly designed optimal rigidity in our folding frames. A lot of times people think, how can a folding chair be rigid? But rigidity is actually a feature that even a folding chair can have. It's just how the product is designed so that you do not have excess motion and loss of energy. Our clients, even people that aren't our clients yet, if they come to us at a trade show, transfer in the chair, after that first push, their face lights up. It's just a totally different experience. So how do we achieve that? Let me go back one here. So looking at this wheelchair, if we were to strip everything away, any folding wheelchair is just a cross brace, side frames, and everything holding it together. So if you see this box underneath the seat, if I strip everything away, I'm left with this box here at the bottom of the screen. This is what we call the naked frame. So this X that we see through the middle, that's a symmetrical cross brace. So what does that mean? Zoomed in here, you can see it's not just an X like a scissor, like so many chairs offer. It's actually curved. Why do we do that? This cross brace actually starts and ends in the same plane, no matter what side you look at. So whether I'm looking at it from the side here, from the bottom, it really doesn't matter. It's going to curve around the axle bolt and install in the same plane. So as those forces are coming up the chair, they're not fighting each other. They're actually working in the same plane instead of creating a torsion effect beneath the seat. Think about that really bad grocery cart. You're fighting it, the right side, the left side. The same thing for our wheelchair users all day, every day. That's wasted energy. If your client has to work on keeping themselves stable in the chair, and then the chair is also moving within itself, and the chair is moving on the ground, and the client is just trying to go from A to B, that's a lot of wasted energy. You wouldn't let your client swim around without proper back support. Why would you let them swim around on top of a chair that is just full of excess movement? That all ends in increased fatigue and decreased efficiency. We also have the unibody side frame. So that's a fancy way of saying this whole piece here is one piece. It's not bolted to itself with extra hardware that adds weight and rattles over time. It's just more efficient and less maintenance. We also have interlocking seat saddles. So this top part here will actually sit into this groove and lock. Why does that matter? A lot of other wheelchairs, that seat saddle, when you unfold the chair, it will sit on top of this side frame. Then it just rattles. There's nothing really stabilizing it. Again, excess unwanted movement, decrease efficiency. So by having it sit within the box, even just the weight of the client further rigidizes that box and locks it out. It doesn't matter which direction force interacts with this chair, it's solid and nothing moves. Next, you have the oversized axle bolt here in the middle. This is actually larger than most axle bolts you'll see on the market. You can't even find this at a hardware store. It's actually even pressure fit into the chair. So the reason we do this, I'll be honest, I never thought about this as a new therapist, but I've heard stories from users that over time, these bolts can break on wheelchairs and it just renders the client completely stranded. It's like your car breaking down. So what we've done is we've gone with a larger one so it can withstand the forces traveling through the chair, creating a safer, dependable ride. But also, because it's pressure fit, it's not hand screwed in. Even if something were to happen and it were to break, it wouldn't go anywhere. So that just goes to further rigidize the entire device, giving a smooth ride and maximizing propulsion efficiency. So what are some frequently asked questions about our one-arm drive? The overall added weight, like we said, about 4 pounds. How much does it add to the overall width of the chair? Well, if you omit that side rim, it's net zero. If you keep it, that's going to be about 1 inch added. Is the unilateral driving system adjustable in size? No, it is cut to size. So make sure we know the size of your chair if you're ordering it to retrofit, or just provide us with the serial number and we'll look that up for you. And do the competitors also remove the axle to fold the chair? Yes, Sunrise and Key remove the axle to fold the chair, and they also offer fixed wheels as a part of that system. So in review, the Motion Composites one-arm drive is available on all of our folding chairs, the Helios, the Veloce, and the Move in Canada. And the price for the US and Canada, $13.95. If you'd like to know more about your country, please email us at education@motioncomposites.com and we'll get you that information. In a way, it is quick release. The wheels do become fixed, but the axle is removable, so you can fold the chair. Your hand rim is available in plastic-coated aluminum. Your wheel size, 24-inch Newton 1, and it's approximately 4 pounds. So guys, no more putting up with clunky options from the competitors, lagging devices, just inefficient propulsion. Say no more. We're just all about preserving independence for clients that may have a temporary or permanent need. And when it comes to education, just remember outside rim drives opposite wheel. I just want to say a special thank you to Christy Hamstra and Steve Melanson for providing the videos used in today's presentation. And of course, we're going to answer some questions now, but if you have any further needs, please reach out to education@motioncomposites.com. And thank you all for attending today. Because this is more of an informal presentation, it's not a CEU, you will receive an automatic certificate for attendance just a few hours after the conclusion of this presentation. But there's no need to sign in for anything, fill out anything, you're good there. So Christy, do we have any questions in the question box?
Yes, actually.
Okay.
Karen Reckamp actually had a couple of comments. She was bringing up that she's always told clients that their wheelchair is for mobility, not for exercise, and we 100% agree with that. Just if a client is going to be switching from manual to power, there are a lot of things to be considered, and so if they're able to remain in a manual chair to use a one-arm drive, that's an option. And also, she also said that in her experience with one-arm drive, it takes a lot of strength to move the chair and the body weight. And again, we 100% agree with that. And it's really up to your clinical team, the therapist, your supplier, your client, to figure out what best fits your needs. And really the purpose, and I think Olivia, you did a great job, just saying the purpose of this time that we spent together was just to let you know that Motion Composites does have a one-arm drive option that goes very well with our Helio model. Olivia went through all of those how it makes propulsion more efficient, and just to know that it's there in your toolbox if you need it. So that was the questions. So
oh, okay, great.
yeah. So thank you all for your questions. I guess we can hang for another minute or two, but it's a pretty quiet afternoon.
Yeah. All right. Well, yes, thank you again, everyone, for attending. I hope you guys stay well, have a great day, and please check out motioncomposites.com for additional course offerings. We do have CECs and CEUs, and any way that we can support you guys, let us know. If there's a topic you'd like to know more about, shoot us an email at education@motioncomposites.com. We'd love some ideas. We'd love to produce something that's meaningful to you and that helps you be more informed in your clinic and your decision making. Oh, we've got hello from Israel. Shalom from Israel. Thank you, Roy. Hey, how are you?
He's
Thank
asking,
you guys.
is there an option for high friction covers for the hand drums on the one arm drive?
They only have the one option, the plastic coated, unfortunately.
Right.
Because, you know, if you think about it, the client that might need that high friction coated hand rim, they might not have the strength in their hand to engage both push rims to travel forward and backwards. So that would be, you know, it might be something that actually counts them out from being a good candidate for it, having that hand dexterity and strength. Let me see.
Sorry.
Larger.
There's just another
Do we have
question
any-
on there on if there's axle adjustment fore and aft and then up and down for rear seat to floor height. And if I am correct, Olivia, there is your axle is still set up with its center of gravity fore and aft movement as well as your customized rear seat to floor height, correct?
Correct. Let me see. I think I can show you. Give me one sec. I actually have it on the install slide. All right, can you guys see this slide?
Yes.
Okay, so yes, looking right here, this is your axle plate that you would normally have on our folding wheelchair. This is your, you know, previous mounting plate. This is the one that you would install in order to use the one-arm drive. So you'd still be able to move it up and down. You'd still be able to move that axle plate forward and backward, just like you normally would. So that does not interfere. You're simply just connecting both wheel hubs so that you can operate it from one side.
Perfect. And that's even more important with the clientele that we're talking about, knowing that their mobility is reduced in even more of a way. So getting that right center of gravity, that proper setup in the chair, even more important. So it's great that it does not affect that.
Correct. And we had someone ask about a video. I have this little video. Oops, sorry. So there he's pulling the inside and now the outside rim. That would be for turning. Then he would squeeze both of them to move forward and squeeze both to pull back to move in reverse. Does it fit on other wheelchair models? So within the Motion Composites portfolio, it will work on the Helio C2, the Helio A7, and our Helio A6. Then you can also use it on the Veloce, which is our hybrid chair that's very much like a rigid in the front and a folder in the back. And we have the Move chair available in Canada. That one is also compatible. Is there a way to decrease?
Sorry, Olivia. Do you know about, if not, we can get back to you, Marcus, but do you know about if it's compatible on wheelchairs outside of Motion Composites?
My understanding is that this is only used on Motion Composites chairs.
I agree.
And it might have to do with the style of the axle plate.
Jerson, it does not go on the Apex wheelchair right now.
Correct, only on the folding wheelchairs.
Is there one available?
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, is there one available for trial? It would be up to your individual sales rep. So those are listed on our website, of course. You can find who your local sales rep is if you're not familiar with them. And ideally, they would have a demo for trial.
So this question from Karen, who's asked some very good thought-provoking questions, is there a way to decrease the space between the two rims for a smaller hand?
I haven't done it, but I believe so, because you can still change what tab your original push rim is attached on. Do you remember from when you worked with it recently, Christy?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. Can you play that video really quick?
This one, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty close, Karen. It's pretty, a small hand could probably do it pretty well. And actually, I've done one-arm drives with teenagers, actually like 10, 11, 12-year-olds even as well, some of the Hemi CP kids, and it's actually worked quite well. So something we could look at. And no, they don't go on the Motion Composites rigid chairs. Jerson.
Okay, great participation. We really appreciate these questions, guys. All right, so I guess we'll probably wrap this up. Again, thank you guys so much for spending some time with us today. Check back on the website for additional presentations that are coming up. Definitely look up your local rep if you don't know them already. Invite them in for an introduction and a product demonstration. They'd love to get their demos in your facility and under your clients. So any way we can support you guys, please let us know. Thank you all for attending and have a great day.